to Baltimore. It was a great one last night. Lamar and
We're showing two quarterbacks.
And the Lions. It was about Jeff. Take it to the house.
Yeah, this is how we finish them up. Get them inside, break outside, just cruise on in the end zone. Montgomery's padding stats, incentives. Let's make it happen.
151 rushing for David Montgomery. The Ravens would tack on a touchdown at the end, but it was too little, too late. The Lions with a statement win. The Ravens, a rare Monday night loss. Week 1 in Green Bay for the Lions looked lost without former offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. It is safe to say they have now figured it out. In their last 2 games, they've scored 90 points. That is their most in a 2-game span since 1962. And they were fired up in the locker room after.
Hey, listen, we did exactly what we said we needed to do. Play complimentary freaking football, man. When we needed it most, every phase picked up the slack, man. That's how you win games against teams like that, man. And now you know what the barometer is like on the AFC.
The celebration was very much on last night. Put your feet up. We got a lot of time. I have to start with Jeff. This is the game of your dreams.
Glorious! Once again. You know, when we started the whole shakedown and they had 2 quarterbacks, it breaks my heart that we had to show those 2. They should put a picture of Hank Fraley, the O-line coach for Detroit Lions, and put him, Honey Buns is his nickname, and put him down in the corner and show how it gets coached and how it gets taught. Because they took it in there and they put a whooping from tackle to tackle all night long. Look at bodies getting moved in and outside of the. I mean, it was a thing of beauty, physicality at its best. And when you talk about Dan Campbell and you talk about a program, organization, whatever you want to call it, it starts with those 5 up front. Mahogany's a left tackle. Tate Ratledge from Jordan. This kid, I mean, they're just bodying.
You just take the whole show.
I should
Keep going.
I'm nervous because the language that you used this morning in the show, as you get excited now, I'm like, Jeff,
I gotta be careful.
We're not in the O-line meeting, man. We're not in the O-line meeting.
They ran the ball for 224 yards, 224 on 34 rushes against just 28 passing plays. And so, Graziano, you sort of sat back in the meeting, took a big picture look at where the Lions are right now.
They're right where they were last year. They lose the coordinators, they lose all those coaches, and people are concerned. Dan Campbell is running a program like this is, and that is why he grooms Kelvin Shepard to eventually be the defensive coordinator when Aaron Glenn inevitably gets his head coach shot. He has these coaches that he has trained, and the expectation is understood throughout the organization. The bigger question, I think, was the interior of that offensive line and the changes they were making there. Well, that's been answered. These guys can obviously handle that. So you have a full steam ahead program with the Detroit Lions that is capable of weathering change because the guy at the top who sets the tone is the same.
So are we to believe that week 1 is just an aberration? Are we to believe that maybe in that particular spot where the Packers playing at home had just acquired Micah Parsons, that they were walking into a situation no one was going to win in? All is well in Lions Lane.
I mean, I was concerned that we would underestimate how big this game was, how tough it is to win in Baltimore in a primetime game. I think John Harbaugh is 43-19 in those primetime situations. But not only did they win, they dominated the line of scrimmage, which is something that's really hard to do. I think the Ravens only had one 95-yard drive, like in the history of the organization at home. They had 2 last night. That's an impressive win for that team.
J-Mac, the Lions defense, this is a team that's I don't want to say this because the Eagles, they earned everything they got last year, but it felt like last year was the Lions' year, and by the end of the year, they had no one left to play defense. Right now, they've got guys, and they're doing a job.
Absolutely, and there's one thing to draw up a good scheme. It's another thing to go out there and actually execute it. And what the Lions were able to do with Lamar Jackson, we got to see them executing at a high level. Here, they're only rushing 3 guys. Everybody else is in coverage. But not only that, you have 2 guys back there that are reading Lamar, then a guy up front that is spying Lamar. So as soon as he goes to take off, they want to close every rushing lane. You're going to see right there for Lamar Jackson down close to the end zone, this is exactly what he wants, to be able to step up. But they're making a one-on-one tackle to get him off of the field. And Nick talked about it. He was confused when he dropped back to see what was going on. It forced him to hold the ball once again. 5-man rush. But even with that 5-man rush, Alex Anzalone has eyes on Lamar Jackson. So as soon as he goes to take off with that huge running lane where he likes to go, there's a linebacker that steps up in his face and doesn't allow it to happen, and now he's being sacked. That was the difference in the game. They covered guys up, and they got home and didn't let Lamar take off.
Their rush lane integrity and what he was just showing is impeccable. They're not going to let Lamar get outside, create big plays. They're going to keep him pinned in, push him up, and then, to your point, you got to go make the one-on-one tackle. That doesn't always happen. But they made it happen. It's an insanely good take because that's the truth. Those guys trusted the system and played within it.
One of the hallmarks of this program that Lions are running is the attention to detail and the fact that it carries over into games. They had a joint practice against the Houston Texans this summer. I'm talking to people with the Texans after that. They were overwhelmingly impressed with how that practice operated, right? Like every single detail, they are not taking, his old Belichick expression, no days off. Like they are not going to be beaten because they showed up and failed to execute what they practiced. Like I think that's what's really most impressive about them.
The Lions side all seems very well. The Ravens side, we can talk about Lamar having a difficulty with their defense last night, but let's face it, it was the Ravens' defense that was the real problem. Here was John Harbaugh after the game.
The biggest problem is we didn't play good run defense. I mean, we didn't, as a defense complete, we didn't do it, and that's not going to be good enough. There's nobody in that locker room that thinks that's good enough. That's disappointing. That's bad run defense, and that's not who we are. It cannot be who we are. It's not going to be good enough. It's not going to be acceptable, and it's got to be better.
So, I mean, here are the numbers. We've made so much fun of the Cowboys' defense, and I take back none of that. But the numbers say that through 3 weeks, the Ravens have been worse. They're dead last in total defense, allowing 415 yards a game, 31st in points allowed, and 32 points allowed per game. Now, early in the season, that gets a little skewed, right? They've played Buffalo and they've played Detroit. That might be the two highest scoring teams in the NFL when it's all said and done.
And they're banged up front. Nnamdi Madubuike, one of their best defenders, especially on the interior, has not been playing. Kyle Van Noy, who's one of their top pass rushers. So, yeah, they're banged up front. But, I mean, John Harbaugh's not going to make that excuse. They should be deep.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going. So what? Right. Like, I think that they feel that way, and they should, because they are a championship team. They're going to have to beat teams like, or they expect to be a championship team. They're going to have to beat teams like this 3 or 4 times in a row at the end of the season. Right. They have to find a way to get some sort of stop.
So let me ask you this question. Dominique, that's your old team, the Ravens. Your son's a big fan of Lamar. We all know that. We've had these conversations. So you can sort of speak for the fans. If I would ask you to sort of assess the panic meter, how concerned we are in late September about a Ravens team that is Super Bowl or bust, how concerned are you?
I mean, honestly, I think the concern is low. It reminds me a little bit of where they were last year, where the defense was struggling. It's a slight difference, though. Last year, the defense was struggling because they were having coverage breakdowns. That's something you can address with attention to detail. The problem in this game was there was no breakdowns. There was no tricks. There was nothing. I mean, there were some trick plays, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was the line of scrimmage started here and it ended there. Yeah. Right. And that, I mean, there's no scheme to fix that. You got to bow up.
Yeah. The reason this is an indictment on the Ravens, and I know John Harbaugh addressed it, but the problem is in their front seven. They can't create pass rush, and they're not stopping the run. Okay, so you may say, well, we got pass rush guys. Okay, so we can't do a great job on the run. No, they're doing neither well. That is a problem. And you're going to face the Bills again. You have the Chargers who want to be a physical team. They want to come run that. The Colts want to be physical. They got Jonathan Taylor. Like, teams are morphing into what will be a problem for the Ravens if they don't get their front seven fixed.
And the year they had 2 years ago, when they ran to the 1 seed, right? And I know it ended badly with the loss to the Chiefs, but they were a dominant team that year, and they were a dominant defense. You showed up to play the Ravens, they were going to smother you and keep you from doing what you wanted to do. Obviously, last night, that is not what happened.
My concern with the Baltimore Ravens, you talked about 2 years ago in the AFC Championship game, last year against the Buffalo Bills. Nick, you can attest to this. They remind me of like the practice squad receiver on a Friday, where now that's his Sunday. So he's going out there, and he is absolutely balling. Yeah. Next thing you know, the next week he's elevated. Now he's out there with the offense. and he's not reading a card anymore. And it's just like, who is this guy? For the Baltimore Ravens, in the biggest moments, yes, in the regular season in primetime, they've won games, but they have to find a way to get over the hump and be the team that we all look at them on paper and say, this is one of the best defenses in the NFL, but it doesn't show up.
So week 3 is now officially behind us. We have a lot of summing up to do as we roll.